Okay, so welcome to our next of our beautiful Wednesday sessions, our conditioning for BrAMS, where we do a little kind of circuit-based class, online kind of class, where we work through improving conditioning, improving balance, improving confidence with movements, and all those kinds of things. Through just everyday movements and kind of getting those better. Okay, so the things you're going to need for today are a chair. That's going to be kind of a key thing. I always recommend that you have a chair with arms as well. Arms will help us through different things if we need it. A nice cool drink, something nice and cold to help regulate the internal temperature as well. That'd be really, really great. Another thing I'm going to recommend that we do need today is a cuddly toy or a pillow or a ball or something along those lines. I'm going to use the old snowman today. Something along those lines, because we are going to be passing the ball, working on a little bit of coordination as well with certain movements too. Okay. As always, the work that you do today should be pushing yourselves a little bit, but not too much. You should possibly feel a little bit of minor warmth in the muscle areas, those kinds of things. A little bit of kind of letting you know that you've done a bit of work is normal and fine. And if you feel any pain in the joints themselves, as well as if you feel any acute, sharp pains in the muscles, those are the kind of things that we don't want to be feeling today. So if anything like that happens, draw it back just a little bit, do relax a little bit, and then take it from there. And if you've got any symptoms which get worse, or if you have any problems kind of leaving from today's session, the best people to refer back to are your nurses, your physios, the neurologists, whoever you're dealing with down at the BrAMS Centre to discuss it further. And the class itself is based for people who were sent here from those beautiful people down at BrAMS. So if you are one of the people that's been referred over here, you're a returner, welcome back and all those kinds of things. And so just be aware that each movement today and everything that we do is based on a certain kind of population and those kinds of things. The different movements do have different areas of challenge for you today, and each challenge will be slightly different. So just take it as far as is challenging for you today, how you feel today, those kinds of things, okay? And so whilst we're on that, before we get started in the warm-up, let's just talking about that kind of key way to kind of challenge yourself further and all those kinds of things. One of the things that we'll mention through the different periods is where you sit in your seat, okay? Now, the further back, let me take a sideways view on this. The further back in your seat you are, means the more weight that we've got in our base, we've got a nice supported base, okay? If you want to make it more challenging, one of the things that we can do is just shuffle our bum more towards the end, bring a little bit of more weight on our feet, those kinds of things, okay? In the same vein, if we find that we're teetering on the edge of our seat, I am now destroying Christmas presents, teetering on the edge of our seat and we want to make it a little bit more challenging, we can stack our feet one foot in front of the other, okay? What this is doing is, once again, it is thinning out our base. It's meaning there's less space for us to balance on, so that means we're challenging our balance a little bit more. Okay, so on various motions, if you want to make it a little bit more challenging, then please, by all means, start shifting that bum towards the end of the seat. And then, like I say, the other thing that you can do as well is start bringing your feet in that kind of toe to heel situation. Okay. All right, that's about it today. It is an online class, so if you've got anything to say, any feedback, or if you can't, there's something wrong with the stream, something like that, type away and let me know in the comments. I've got my screen right next to me, as you can see. It is out to my left, so I might not necessarily see your comments straight away, but if I do see anything, I'll try and address it as soon as possible, okay? And that's about it. Okay, so we're going to start right at the bottom of our body, and we're going to draw some circles with our heels, okay? So, nice toe on the floor situation, and we're just going to roll that heel into the biggest circle that you can. Only one side at the moment, that's all we're doing. Nice big circle, nice and controlled with that heel, okay? And you are looking to get as big a circle as you can as you take it round. Whilst we're doing this kind of thing, let's take it the opposite way as well, mobilizing these joints ready for a little bit of action. all those muscles above and below the joints. Let's think about your posture as well. So ideally we want to be like postured up like we're in assembly in year 4, that kind of thing. Trying to get out of assembly early, the best, you know, sat up most straight kids and all those kinds of things, if you remember back to those days. Now we're going to draw circles with our knee. There we go. A bigger circle you've got, you might find that you keep your foot on the floor. You might find that it only comes up a little bit, or we've got a nice big one from there, okay? Whatever your range of motion is today. So yeah, that key in that posture, holding that posture throughout, is what we're trying to do as well. Nice big circles. So apologies already if you can hear the circus going on in my house. Kids are not at school, so inevitably they run around like elephants. Let's take that knee circle the opposite way as well. Thankfully I've barricaded the door so they can't get in. And like previous classes in the other BrAMS class that I do earlier in the summer, I had people running past the class and everything like that, like maniacs. We're going to be fine today. We're going to take it to our upper body now. We're still featuring good posture, all those kinds of things. Hand on the shoulder, drawing circles with the elbow next. So around your biggest range of motion today. See if we can sit up nice and straight. Drive your shoulder blades into your back pockets. See if we can keep our shoulders away from our ears as well. And then let's take it the opposite way also. Nice controlled movements, nice and slow. Make every movement nice and purposeful. With the wrists next, like you're waving like the Queen. Nice circles round one way. Let's take some circles the opposite way as well. And then we're going to go all the way back down to the other side. Back to drawing circles with the heel around your biggest range of motion. Nice and controlled once again. Nice relaxed speed up and down and around that motion. And then the opposite way as well. Getting those ankles ready to do some work. We're going to be supporting and flexing them and all those kinds of things. Then with the knee, same thing. Now if you are sat in your chair and you've got arms on your chair, your range of motion, what you're able to do might be a little bit blocked by your chair arms, those kinds of things. So you can, shift it towards the edge a little bit more to open up more of a range of motion. Because although we are kind of drawing circles with our knee, that's just the visual, we're just mobilizing that hip area through the movement. Let's take it the opposite way as well. And I want you to try and just see how much of a range of motion you can get out of it without supporting the leg, okay? So without using your hands or anything like that. So if we've got the smallest little rock side to side, that's great. If we just got like a tiny jump off the floor every time, or whether it's the big circle, whichever you've got, let's keep it under control. Let's do that today. And then we're up to upper body once again, hand on the shoulder. Drawing circles with the elbow one way. And then obviously we've gone one way with those beautiful big controlled circles. We're going to go the opposite way as well. There we go. Nice and controlled. You almost feel like you've got the shoulder blades squeezing together at the back. With the wrists again. One way, with the wrists together the other way as well. Lovely. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to just take our feet just about as wide as we can for the moment. That's just going to give us a much better base when used in conjunction with the chair. And we're sat up nice and straight and happy. And we're just going to do a couple of movements with the arms. Both hands on both shoulders. So now we're going to do our shoulder circles together. Same direction, whether that's forwards or backwards for you. Let's take them the opposite way as well. Trying to bring those elbows as close to the body and as high up as we can as well. Good stuff. Then we're going to take those arms and we're going to take them back as far as we can without destroying your Christmas tree, and then squeezing in front of you again. Different hand on top, every single motion. Back, forward. Squeeze the shoulder blades, forward. Back, forward. Lovely stuff. Then we're going to punch out to our side. So we're going across the body as we do this. Across, back. Across, back. And we're trying to keep both of our butt cheeks on the floor the entire time, okay? We're across and we're back. So it's not a continuous movement. We reset in our sat up position every single time. And you're just going across as far as your range of motion will allow you to go today. One more, and then we're going to go diagonally up. So we're going up and away from the body this time. Ba-boom. Ba-boom. There we go. Up. And now we're going to go down. So now we're going diagonally down and away. We're not kind of folding towards the floor. It's just the slightest movement down and away. Remember, your key on all these movements is what your butt cheeks are doing. As soon as you feel a butt cheek rise up off the seat, that's the end of your range of motion. From there. Lovely stuff. We're back up to seating. Now, once again, however deep your butt goes in, the easier it's going to be on the seat. Set yourself up nice and straight, and we're going to start marching on the spot. Whatever marching on the spot looks like for you. So, we might have the slightest of heel raises. We might have the slightest of foot raises. And we might have nice big foot raises. So, we're just going to get a rhythm in. Whatever your range of motion is today, like you're marching on the spot. And then we're going to take our hands and we're going to mimic it. So, whichever hand is coming up, it's almost like you're pulling it up with string. Still maintaining that upper body posture. From there. Okay. Now we're going opposite legs and opposite hands. So it's the opposite, which is raising at the same time. All about coordination. Keeping those legs moving. Let's go to same leg, same hand again. Opposite leg, opposite arm. We're going to go 5 more. 3 more. Lovely stuff. Okay, so as always, our circuit is filled of 45 seconds worth of work with 75 seconds of rest. During the 75 seconds, I'll introduce the next movement that we're going to do. Generally, we get through all the movements twice, so we'll see what we can get today. Now, do make sure you've got space in front, space to the side, and space behind as well. One of the movements does involve us passing an item behind us. So make sure you've got all that space. As we talked about at the beginning, to make some of these movements harder, shift your butt towards the end of the seat, maybe as far as toe to heel with the feet as well. So change your kind of body position to challenge it and make it more challenging for you today. Our first movement is the sit to stand. So we've got various different challenging aspects on here, depending on how you are today. We start in the chair, and first level of challenge today is for you to just transfer the weight from the bum to the feet, with or without handles, depending on with or without arms, depending on the support you've got on your chair. But we're just getting up onto our feet, and then we slowly come back down. So phase challenge 1, up, weights on the feet, back down, weights on the bum. Okay, so we're just getting the bum raise. Maybe we're happy and we're comfortable that once we've got that weight onto our feet, we can stand on up as well. And then we obviously slowly back down again. And if you're really looking to challenge yourself today, maybe you go freestanding where you're not using any supports to help you transfer the weight, and then standing on up. Remember, it's about perfect reps. It's not about getting the most challenging. It's not about getting the hardest one or anything like that. It's about finding your level of comfort and developing that part of the process, okay? So 45 seconds worth of work, 75 seconds rest, starting in 3, 2, 1, let's go. So whichever one you're doing today, think about control, because control is the key element that we're looking for in all of our movements. So one of the things I always recommend is timing it. So let's say it's a 2 second, 1, 2, I'm at the top of my movement, 1, 2, back down. And that goes for standing as well, 1, 2, let's say 3, 1, 2, 3. Because we want to control that reverse part of the movement, that returning back to the start just as much as the up part. So don't throw yourselves or drop into the seats, try and lower yourself nice and controlled. There we go, 45 seconds, first one's done. So you're going to need your prop for the next one, and what you're looking to do is basically passing it under the legs, okay? Through the legs to the hands. That's all we're doing. It's just going through in like a little figure of 8 situation for you. Now, a couple of ways we can make this more tricky for you if you're looking for that challenge. First and foremost is shuffling yourself out to the edge of that seat, because once again, if you remember, the further to the edge of the seat we are, the more challenging it becomes because of how our weight is supported. The other thing you can do if you want to super challenge yourself is raise a leg as you're passing underneath. Suddenly we're going from 3 points of contact to 2 on the floor for our balance, which once again makes it tricky. Okay? So depending on how you're feeling, depends on where you're going to sit and if you're going to raise the legs. But that's all you're doing, is passing it under the legs as best you can for 45 seconds. Okay? If we can add in this element of sitting up straight, keeping our shoulders back and down, that's going to be a bonus as well. Off we go, 45 seconds. So one of the key elements of that good upper body posture that I always think helps is keeping the head up. Now your hands have been there for a long, long time, and we've all kind of used them to pass items, so you don't always necessarily need to keep an eye on them. So if you can keep eyes up, that can really help keep the shoulders up and keep that upper body posture as it's passing it through. And depending on what object you're using will depend on how weird it is, because for me all I'm seeing is the eyes of this little snowman peering up at me as I'm passing him underneath, which to be honest is a little bit weird. 1, there we go, 45 seconds done. There we go, Steve, you can go and sit over there now. So the next movement we're looking to do is with high lows basically, or low highs. We're looking to take ourselves as low to the floor as possible with our hands, followed by as high as we can take those hands as well. Okay, so once again we can adjust the amount of control that we have, amount of balance that we've got supported, where our butt is on the floor, where our butt is on the seat, and then we're just basically bending over to touch the floor or to get as close to the floor as possible, and then all the way up and reaching as high as we can with those fingers. So it really is a very, very low movement followed by a very, very high movement. This is one of those ones which is going to look very different for everybody depending on what your body's mobility is like, depending on how tight things like hamstrings, lumbar is, all those kinds of things, shoulders. So really it's about you listening to your body and moving through the biggest range for you today. Okay, so 45 seconds, low to high, 3, 2, 1, let's go. And every movement, like I talked about with the sit to stand, we want them to be very deliberate, very controlled, okay? So once again, this timing comes in, okay? So maybe I'm going 3 seconds to the floor, and then I'm taking 3 seconds to get higher. Nice and controlled, both ranges of motion from there. And you are looking to get those fingers as low to the floor that we can, and then as high to the ceiling as we can. Almost like doing a little Mexican wave. We're all lined up next to each other. Cha-cha. 3, 2, 1. That's your time done. Lovely stuff. The next one, once again, requires our prop. And this time, this is the one that you do need that little bit of space behind you. We're going to do what's known as round the world. And all you're going to do is pass the item behind your back. Simple. So, we adjust ourselves on the seat as necessary, further forward, more challenging, further back, easier for our balancing side of things. And now all we're doing from our good posture is taking our item, passing it round the back of us, bringing it back to the front. Hopefully, yeah, that's all in shot. And then we take it the opposite way. So don't just keep doing it in the same direction. Do swap the direction that it's going in each and every time. Okay? So if we're looking from the side point of view, let's see if we can keep our posture nice, sat up straight, like we're fold arms in assembly from there, and we take it, like I say, behind, and then it comes back the opposite way as best we can. Make adjustments as necessary because of chairs and things like that, but 45 seconds, let's go. Good posture, remember. One of the things good posture is doing for us is, first and foremost, it's teaching our core to hold ourselves. If we haven't got good posture and we're slumping all over the place and those kinds of things, the core is getting relatively little use, or at least it's not being used to its full capabilities, which is to support that spine and those kinds of things. Got about 10 seconds left. Sitting up straight as we go. 2, 1, time. Good stuff. That's our round the world. We take ourselves right to the bottom of the pile again to our feet. And this time we're going to do heel raises. Now we kind of did heel raises. No, we didn't, sorry. So heel raises today. And the key element that I'm looking for is the pause at the top, okay? So we sit up, once again, taking your difficulty slider as you see fit, okay? We're sat up nice and straight, and then those heels go up as high as they can, and then we hold them, okay? We're holding them at full extension, and we're gonna go for a 2-second hold at the top before we bring it down, okay? So it is kind of like up, 1, 2, and then all the way back down. 1, 2, and then all the way back down. So we should feel a nice big squeeze of those calf muscles, which is these little things just here at the backs of the legs. A big squeeze of those calf muscles, holding it 2 seconds before we slowly lower down. And once again, it is slowly. It's not just a drop, it's a slowly back down to earth. Okay, 45 seconds, let's go. Hold, and then slowly back down. Up it goes. 1, 2, slowly back down. Up, 1, 2, slowly back down. And remember, we're trying to make every movement today purposeful. Everything is under control today. Slowly back down. Take a look at your knees. Are they collapsing in? We're trying to keep our knees parallel to each other. So they should stay a nice distance apart throughout the movement. For another 3, 2, 1. Lovely stuff. Okie dokie. Calf raise is done. The next one we're going to do with our, once again, we're back to the item, is what's known as the halo. We are essentially just taking the item and orbiting it around our head. If you can use your item to draw a circle around your forehead area, as if you were wearing like a sweatband or something like that, that's what we're doing, okay? What that inevitably looks like is, if we've got our item, those elbows come high to allow us to keep drawing it round that area. So even from the side view, what you can see is you're drawing it round the back, all the way around to the front. Notice how my item is basically taking an orbit around this kind of headband area from there. Okay, once around one way, once around the other way. Those elbows come up, remember? Sliding difficulty on the bum, challenging our center of balance. 3, 2, 1, off we go. And it is a nice controlled movement throughout. We're squeezing our shoulder blades down into our back pockets. We're keeping our shoulders away from the ears, not allowing our posture to collapse as we take it round nice and slow. We're about halfway through already. Let's see what we can get through. Remember, it's not as many reps, it's perfect reps. So if you're taking nice, slow, 3, 4, 5 seconds a rep, that's great because you've got time under tension on the muscles and you've got good control. There we go, that's our time. We're going to move into high knees now. And when we talk about high knees, we adjust as necessary forward and back in the seat. But just like the calf raises, we want to pause at the highest point of our knee raise. Okay? Once again, we're looking for about 2 seconds, 2 seconds on the knee raise, pausing it at the top. Okay, so that's what we're working towards. Full raise, whatever your range of motion is today, holding it and then slowly lowering it back down. Just like the calf. Don't drop it down to the floor. Let's engage the muscle and slowly lower it back down to that floor. So it does become a raise, hold, hold, slowly back down. And we repeat that leg to leg. If we can, we're trying to think of good posture as well. Shoulders are backing down, those kinds of things. So it's up, it's a hold for 2, and then slowly back down. Okay? So high knees is, with that pause, adjust your bum in the seat to make it more challenging. Off we go. And just like with all those other movements, you can start to put a rhythm in. So up, hold, back down for 2, let's say. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, back down. So now we're taking 6 seconds per rep and then back down. So suddenly, when we look at 45 seconds, you're looking at like 7 reps. Much easier. But it's teaching our body control. And that's what we want. We want to control those limbs as best we can. You've got less than 5 seconds, so you've probably got 1 more rep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go, lovely. Okay, and the last one that we've got is we're going for our punches, which is one of my favorites because it looks like we're celebrating. Once again, depending on where you, depending on where you sit today, once again, we'll challenge your balance. We'll challenge how that weight is distributed through your limbs. So if you're right far out, bum on the edge of the seat, it's going to be a little bit more challenging. And let's mix it up this time, shall we? So we're going to go side, side, up, up, and then do our forward ones as well. Okay, so that's all we're looking to do, is taking a nice push out to the sides, up above, and then forward. Good posture on that upper body, shoulders are backing down. Remember, we're simulating assembly, sitting up straight, those kinds of things from there. Each movement, once again, see if you can control the time it takes to take out and come back. So maybe it's 1, 2, 1, 2, that kind of thing, okay? Purposeful, controlled movements throughout. Here we go, 45 seconds, off we go. Oh, excuse me, I have got the yawns today. And up and down. Forward, back. There you go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And each one, try and get it to the biggest range of motion you can. You're almost reaching through every single one. Try not to twist. We're not bringing the hips into it or anything like that. It really is just as far to the sides as we can go, as far to the sky as we can go, and as far forward as we can go every time. Tie. Lovely stuff. Okay, that's our first time round all of our movements. So we had 8 in total. We had 45 seconds on, 75 seconds off. So we're going to go back to the top again, and we're going to go through exactly the same 8 that we did before. But now you're professionals with it, means that it's going to be much easier, I'm sure. So if you remember correctly, the first movement that we did was the sit to stand. And remember, we're either kind of taking ourselves, distributing the weight onto our feet and then back down, or we're getting straight up out of the seat and then back down. Okay, so we've got 2 different versions that we can do. We're either assisted or unassisted with the chair's arms. One further thing you can do if you wish is with your prop, and this is only if it's kind of a plush prop, okay, is hold it between the knees, okay, so our knees are in control. Doesn't mean if it's a thin pillow we hold it against and our knees are not on top of our ankles, that kind of thing. It's only if it is big enough to keep our knees apart so they're the same distance as our feet, okay? So you can hold it there through the movements to help give yourself a little bit more work on. Regardless, 45 seconds, let's go. Whatever you're doing. Remember your rhythm. So it's 1, 2, 1, 2, let's say. Nice and controlled, nice and deliberate the entire time. Every movement, you're squeezing the muscles. See if you can find which muscles are doing the work as you work on through. I've loaded my feet. I'm pushing now. I'm pushing and now my glutes are squeezing all the way through, and now I'm going the opposite. Nice and slow and controlled, that's time right there. So if you are remembering, you'll remember that our next movement is the figure of 8, which is when we pass the item, your prop, through the legs. Once again, we'll find our distance, we'll find where we are going to sit today for balance, and we just pass it on through. If we can keep the head up, if we can think about keeping those shoulders back, those are going to be key things that we're going to do. If we can keep our eyes up on the horizon, all those kinds of things. These are all different things we're trying to do, okay? And what we'll do this time, if we weren't doing it last time, is you pass it around once one way and then the other way one way as well. So we're continually changing directions as well as we're passing it round, okay? Shoulders in our back pockets, shoulders away from those ears, so that upper body posture is set, and we're going for 45 seconds, okay? So here we go, 3, 2, 1, and we're off. So think about where your weight is. Where are you holding your balance, okay? Are you just on your butt? Have you got any weight being controlled through your legs? That kind of thing. Which side are you more likely, or which side are you more leaning on when you're making the movements? Are you more controlled with one leg than the other? Be really conscious with what's going on. You got 15 seconds of good, slow passing that item around. 3, 2, 1. Lovely stuff. Cheers, Steve. Okay, floor to skies next, or low to highs, those kinds of things. Once again, it's nice and controlled down. We don't want any jerky motions, any jerky movements or anything like that. It really is just as big as your range of motion is going to let you go down, and then all the way up again. Remember, let's bring our hands in as well if we can, if we're happy with that today. So we bring the hands down. Then as we're bringing up, our core's helping us up, and then we're up overhead with the fingers. Okay? As always, depending on where our bum sits, and depending on where our weight distribution is within our chair, changes the challenging factor. You can also bring toe to heel to really thin out your base, so it becomes more challenging as well if we're coming down to the floor here and then all the way back up again. Okay, so through your range of motion, down to the floor, back up, 45 seconds. Let's go, shall we? Nice and controlled. So remember, just like all of our movements, let's take it nice, slow and controlled. If you can count it and get the same consistent speed through each of your range of motions, that's what we're keying on. To the floor. Those butt cheeks should be staying firmly planted on the seat the entire time. When you feel them to start to raise, please make sure that you can feel that weight distribution in the feet. Okay, engage the feet. Don't just let no support be in place for your body. There we go. 2, 1, time. Lovely stuff. Back to prop work next with the round the world, I should say. And remember, we're sitting up straight and we're passing it round the body. Just like the last exercise, adjust your balance plate as necessary. Your bum forward, your bum back, those feet closer together, feet wider apart is going to make it easier to balance, all those kinds of things. So you can micro adjust the difficulty of the movement for you. You really only need to make sure you've got space behind you that you can pass that item from hand to hand. And remember, he says moving forward for a bit more space, it's going round one way, and then we are going the opposite way round as well. Okay, so we do want it both ways. Think about that coordination. Think about making contact with both hands before we kind of pass it on over. We don't want to drop it, because then you've got to scramble around and find it and all those kinds of things. Okay, 45 seconds. Set up straight, 3, 2, 1, here we go. Nice and controlled. Squeeze the shoulder blades back as your hands go behind the back. Good control throughout. And bring your rhythm in. 1, 2, 1, 2. Nice, deliberate, slow motions, remember? Full control throughout. We got about 15 seconds to go. I forgot to go the opposite way around there. Stay mentally sharp as well, see? Gosh, there's so much going on. 2, 1, time. Good. Now we go back to the calf raise next. Making sure I don't squash any Christmas presents there. And once again, remember, we're putting ankles under knees the best as we can. We sat up straight, all those kinds of things, and then we're up. It's a hold, and then it's back down. Remember in the last round we were holding for 2 seconds. Let's see if we can hold for 2 seconds again this round. What I also think we should try and do is really lower the heels down very slowly. So let's go up, we'll hold, and then let's go down even slower. So it's like 1 up, 1, 2, 1, 2 down. So maybe let's aim for a 5-second repetition for the whole thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That kind of thing. Really control those heels all the way down. You're fighting against gravity, so just let them drop. Really slowly bringing them down. Okay? So we got 45 seconds, 9 reps. Here it goes. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Think posture as well. Okay? We're keeping our posture set. You can see that my back is still nice and straight. My shoulder blades are trying to force their way into my back pockets. I'm looking up on the horizon, and I am just an arm fold away from being allowed to leave assembly first because of how well presented I am. We got 35 seconds down, so that means we've got 2 5-second reps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, time. Lovely stuff. Okay, we're final one with the prop today. We're back to the halo. So back to orbiting our prop around the head. So remember, that imaginary headband kind of line round the head, that's where you're trying to make this item orbit today. And you're doing that starting it at the front. As it orbits round, those elbows go high. Your shoulders are rolling round back to the front, and then we go the opposite way. Those elbows come high, drawing all the way round back to the front. Okay, nice and slow. We've got lots of control. We're trying to stop that kind of squinting, those shoulders up to our ears, that kind of situation. If we can maintain a nice gap between earlobe and shoulder, that'll be great. And remember, we're going for 45 seconds. And if we're nice and slow and controlled, we're probably looking at a good 10 reps or so from there. Remember, we go around once, one way, and then we go back the opposite way. That's how we're doing it. Forward and back. 2, 1, let's go. All the way round, check. All the way back, check. There we go, lovely stuff. Sitting up straight. Maybe you're even looking at your knees right now. Are your knees still parallel? Is your body balanced on butt cheek and on sole? And are your knees working independently? Don't let those knees collapse in. Keep them parallel from each other. We got the last 5 seconds to go. There we go, lovely stuff. Time done. 2 more exercises to go. First of which would be the, oh, there's a fireplace there. First of which would be the high knees. So remember, we're pausing the high knee again. So let's try and implement what we did with the calf raise. So we're going up, we hold for 2, and then we lower for 2 as well. So let's really see if we can work on that lowering of the leg. So if you do have any problems with mobility of raising the leg, let's lift the leg, let's let go, and let's see if we can hold it and then slowly bring it back down as well. Let's see what we can do today, even if it's just slowing it down on the descent as well. Okay, so we're looking to get that control on the lowering of the legs. Because one of the things that we do a lot is we allow gravity to just take us down. Whether we throw ourselves in seats, whether we sit down on the sofa, those kinds of things. So a lot of those muscles that we use to make that descending motion become weaker because they don't get used a lot. So let's really concentrate on them now. 45 seconds, let's go. So up, 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice and slow and controlled. Up it goes. 1, 2, slowly lowering. Up, 2, slowly lowering. Up it goes. And remember, it's your range of motion, so you may find that you've got a lower pull up than I do, and that's perfectly fine. Work within your boundaries today, work within your own comfort levels today. Let's just get a little bit better every single rep. So maybe that slow descent is a little bit slower every time. Time, good stuff. Okay, and then we finish off with your favorite, my favorite, everybody's favorite, the punches, or the pushes, if you will, or the lasers, however you want to label it. And remember, we're going side, side, sky, sky, forward, forward. Okay, good posture. Slide yourself towards the end, change that center of balance, change how you're balancing in the chair. Maybe you've even got toe to heel as an extra little bit that you're challenging yourself today. You set that body, and then that body, for the most part, is staying sturdy like a tree trunk, okay? Shoulders are backing down, core's engaged to help support the whole thing. as we extend, release, extend, release, and up, full extension, and then forward as well. Okay, so we've got those 6 different movements of the arms. The rest of the body is staying nice and secure and sturdy. Here we go, 45 seconds, off we go. And this is our last movement of the day, remember? Nice and slow and controlled. So maybe it's your knuckles leading the way. Maybe it's your fingers leading the way, streaming out from side to side. Every time you find your posture breaking down, see if you can stop, restart that posture. Okay? Reset a good base posture and do your movements through that posture. 3, 2, 1, time. Lovely stuff. Okay, that's our 2 rounds done today. We did our sit to stand. We did the figure of 8, we did the low highs, the round the worlds, the calf raises, halos, high knees, and then the punches. Okay, so there's lots of different movements there, from both compound movements, everyday movements as well. So lots of things that if we keep nice and consistent with, will prove very, very beneficial for us in the future. What we're also going to do now real quickly is just do a few little stretches off as well. Stretching is really good at increasing our range of motion, in helping us being more confident with the body and move through the body's ranges and all those kinds of things. And there's a little bit more relaxing with our stretches, especially if we do them from a seated position, which is what we're going to do today. Additionally, because we're learning to use stretching through the seated position, it means there's loads of time during your day when you could do them. When you're sat down watching TV, when you're at the desk, you know, etc, etc. Seated position means if we know how to stretch, we can do it on more than just like the odd occasion after a class. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is bring one foot as far forward as you can. Bring one foot as far back as you can. Make sure that both feet are still flat on the floor. So let me just bring it round to the side. So we get that kind of split leg situation going on there. And then all we're going to do is forward fold as far as you can. Now once again, if we've shifted upright to the edge of our seat, then we are making it a little bit more challenging, but also you're going to get a little bit more of a stretch on your muscles as well. But it's really for you, whatever is challenging for you today. So we just hold it at that range of motion. And we hold it for about 10 seconds, so 10, 12 seconds. And then we'll come on out of it. We'll switch which leg is forward and which leg is back, and we'll repeat the process as well. Try and keep your head up throughout. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to repeat the process again with the other leg. Forward, fold again. What I'd like you to try and do now is bring that front toe up. And as you bring that front toe up, shift the heel out just a little bit more. You're able to maybe feel the loading become a little bit more intense on your hamstring. That's the back of your thigh. And then we'll repeat that process with the other leg. So we've got our feet both flat on the floor. We fold it on over. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring that toe up as best we can. Shift that heel forward a little bit more from there. Good stuff. And then we come back on. Then what we're going to do is just our feet as wide as we possibly can, and then we just straighten them out, and once again we just forward fold just a little bit. So it's just our heels on the floor. They're as wide as we can take those heels. They're as far away as they can be. And then we're just forward folding and then coming all the way back up. We'll do that one more time. If you want to shift the bum a little bit further to the edge of your seats and you can take those feet a little bit wider, then by all means do. Heels are on the floor only, and then it's that forward fold again. You'll feel the hamstrings load up. And then we back off again. Okay, let's go ahead and cross our legs. So pull one leg over the other. Whichever way that you've just crossed, you're going to go in the opposite direction. So what I want you to do is I want you to force your knee away from your turn. So you can do that with a hand, with an elbow, whatever works for you, but you're forcing that across the body. Maybe you're even using the arms of your chair to help force you around. So we've got a little bit of a stretch on our glutes. That's your bum. You've also got a little bit of stuff going on in your core. And then we'll come back to the middle. We'll uncross the legs. Let's cross and then do the same the opposite way. So you're forcing that knee away from the body. And then we come back to the middle again. Good. Let's go ahead and take both of our hands out in front of us. And what we're looking to do is crossing them over and then forcing our palms against each other. Okay? So we're actively pushing our palms against each other. So we just come out and turn them across and force. And you're going to push those arms forward and then dive your head down low. And then all the way sat up nice and straight. We take one arm across the body. When you can't move across the body any further, then you're just going to hug it on in towards your chest. Got a lot of shoulder work going on in today's session, so we're just giving a nice little stretch to that area. Then we're going to go ahead and go through that same process with the other arm. So it comes across the body and then we hug it on in. Lovely stuff. Okay, so thank you very much for today. That's today's class, Christmas class. Hooray! Christmas on Friday, everybody's excited. 2 thumbs up. As always, this is an online class, so if you click that like button, leave us a comment, all those kinds of things, that's always well received. Additionally, if you ever do the classes so not live or on the YouTube account, leave us a little message, let us know you've been by, let us know you've had a go at something, those kinds of things, because it's always good to see, especially those that are doing, let's say, multiple classes a week and all those kinds of things. There's no class live next week, unfortunately, but there is that back catalogue up on YouTube of all the classes that we've done previously, so you can always jump up on one of those and have a go on one of those to kind of fill the void of the no live class. Okay, but that's about it for today. Have a great time over Christmas, and yeah, see you in a couple of weeks. Bye bye.